Here with us now is the former chair of the Montgomery County Election Commission and a longtime 21 This Week panelist, our friend Jim Shalleck. Welcome back, Jim.
Oh, it's great to be back.
Yeah, your duties, because you've been so important over the last several years as election commissioner, has prevented us from having you on the show. So we're really happy that you can talk about all the changes that have occurred and the dynamics that are occurring with mail-in ballots and with early voting and an election that just is going to start, in 23 days. So welcome back.
Thank you.
We want you to also to talk about a little bit about the decision by the Court of Appeals to allow the counting of early voting ballots, which, some would say is in contravention to the clear meaning of the Maryland statute, which authorized it. So, but first, let's talk about mail-in ballots. It's been decided that a mail-in ballot is going to be mailed to every registered voter in Montgomery County, whether they want it or not. So how does that work? And is it rife for abuse?
Well, my main concern with mail-in balloting, and that's the future. I mean, election day is the past. In the last election for president in Montgomery County, about 540,000 votes cast for either Biden or Trump. On election day, only about 40,000 people voted. So when you woke up on election day for president, almost 500,000 people in Montgomery County had already voted. So rear view mirror is election day. The future is mail-in ballots and early voting. My main concern is Casey Aiken gets a mail-in ballot. We know because we're mailing it to you at your address. The problem we have, and it's legislative, is that we don't check signatures. You can send in your mail-in ballot with a C or a scribble, and we cannot reject that ballot. We have to accept it. The philosophy in Maryland, and it's legislative, is who are we? We being bureaucrats appointed by the governor. Who are we to tell Casey Aiken how to sign your name? That's always been a concern for me. So when I'm asked over 6 years, any fraud in early voting and mail-in ballot, my answer is, I don't know. I don't know. However, nobody's ever brought me evidence of fraud. But is it out there? I'm sure somebody's picked up their father's ballot and voted it and mailed it in. Yes, those things happen. But can I prove it? No. So we have to tighten up on the receiving end of mail-in ballots, verification of signatures. That's a technical big leap. But
well, that was part of the the controversy in Georgia when over ballot signatures, because in Georgia the system was not only did they have to sign the ballot, but they also had to sign and date the outside of the envelope.
Yes.
That was being submitted. So that's a big issue, and it's very controversial because in Georgia, they were accused of trying to pass Jim Crow laws all over again. So,
well, I've never seen evidence of fraud. Is it out there? I'm sure that we're dealing with human beings, but mail-in ballots and early voting is the future. People love it. And eventually it's going to expand, and election day is going to be irrelevant. And it changes the dynamic of campaigning.
Well,
I'm sorry for interrupting now.
But with the expansion of mail-in balloting, are we also seeing ballot harvesting, which also could be fraudulent?
Yes, look, nothing's perfect. And we have to tighten the reins on early voting and mail-in balloting. But people love it. They get a ballot in the mail, they vote it, they can put it in a drop box, which are very secure. They're covered by cameras. They pick up the ballots maybe twice a day. They're under watch, under seal. So it's a good way to vote. I mean, it's easy, but it changes the dynamic though. Candidates that used to wait for election day to go to the polls and hand out stuff and wave signs, you're done. You're done. The election is over by election day. Over.
Well, so let's also talk about that, because let's talk about the counting of ballots. There, Dan Cox, who was running for governor, challenged the Board of Election on whether or not ballots could be counted before Election Day, because the law says they're not counted until Election Day. But he lost. So what's that all about, Jim?
And he should have lost. Get the hell out of our elections, Dan Cox. I know these people. Nahid Kozame, David Naiman, all these people that I've worked with, the leaders of the board, the staff, the volunteers. They are wonderful, ethical, terrific people. Shame on any political hack that questions the integrity of the Board of Elections and its staff. These are wonderful, ethical people. And
but isn't it possible, Jim, that if you start counting these mail-in ballots, the results can get leaked out before Election Day?
Yes.
Isn't that the concern?
Yes. The concern is fraudulent ballot stuffing and counting or leaking. Yeah, that's a concern. But you have ethical, terrific people doing it. We have to have faith in the system. The ease of voting for people is the priority. We want everybody to vote, and people vote by mail, early voting. They want to do it. It's fair. Give me one example, Casey, one, that some candidate lost because of fraudulent counting. No. You know,
I did, Jim. I lost in the 2000 election. I know there was fraud.
No, look.
Just kidding. I came in third. I didn't have a chance of winning. Anyway, Jim, I got to cut you off. We're running out of time. I want to thank you for coming in. And also thank you for endorsing the integrity of our election system. It's really important to hear from people like yourself that the election system here in Maryland is safe and secure. I want to thank you for coming in, and stay tuned for parting shots when we come back from the short break.